Okay, 6 o'clock, we're gonna start the Carver Redevelopment Authority meeting. And so you've got your packet in front of you. You're obviously looking at an agenda that's pretty healthy. There's 10 items on it. What I want to do is first just want to kind of draw your attention down to the 8th line, the correspondence, because people might be looking at that thinking, you know, what is that? And I'll tell you what that is, so that way when we get to it, or whoever gets to it, we can understand what we're doing at that point. So in the past, we've had kind of like a, in my opinion, a little bit of an exclusivity when, you know, when discussing things, and the board has been kind of, you know, I don't know, not so much as inclusive as I'd like to have seen it in the past. So correspondence is kind of like a way for us to, you know, share our ideas, talk about new business, that type of thing, versus members' comments, where, you know, members' comments are just basically us commenting on what we think is, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. So, I mean, you know, at the end of this whole thing, when we reorg, whoever it is that ends up being the chairman can keep it, discredit, or the group of us should all be able to vote on whether or not we want to keep it, or just, you know, take it off the agenda or whatever. But I just thought it was a good idea to put it out there because in the past there was, you know, a time where I felt, and I think other board members that were a part of it felt that this exclusivity was a little bit too much to handle, and we wanted to see a little bit of a change. So that was the change that I added to the agenda. So, without further ado, we'll start off with the, you know, reorganization, since that's customary to you know, do when a board has got brand new members. So now this is the first time that the authority, in the time that I've been sitting on it, has had 5 members, which is kind of cool, in my opinion. You know, so I think that we need to get down to the business of reorg so we can get down to the business of what the RDA is so good at. So I guess I need a motion to reorg.
I'd like to appoint, excuse me, Mr. Will St. Clair, if that's appropriate at this particular time. Is that the first one you are discussing?
Would be,
first office?
Yeah, it would be the chairman would be the first one. Now, before we go too much further, I'd like to ask that if, you know, how would the board like to go about doing this? You want to do a vote on everything at once, or you want to go?
So normally
Person
what would
by
happen is you pass off the chairmanship to whoever the staff person is here for the first vote,
Mhm.
and then I would temporarily run the meeting while
Okay.
you elect a chairperson. Once you elect a chairperson, then I would technically turn the meeting back over to whoever the current or the new chairperson is, and they would run the rest of the meeting, and then go through vice chair and treasurer and then secretary.
All right, let's do
Okay.
that way.
Actually, since he's not really a staff member for the Redevelopment Authority, because we're a separate entity, he's a staff member for the town, I think it should really be the secretary, who actually is a staff member for us, that she actually call out the different positions and ask for them, because she is a
She's a staff member.
staff member for us, for the Redevelopment Authority.
Well, and just so you know, I am the acting executive director
Okay,
for the Redevelopment Authority.
okay,
Does that answer your question?
okay, that's fine, okay.
So without any further ado, I call for nominations for chairmanship.
I'd like to nominate Will St. Clair.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any discussion? Well, I'll close the nomination process. Then from there, we'll just bring it up for discussion.
Okay.
And if there's no further discussion, then I'll call for...
Let me just
Sure.
My feeling, when we were, in April, we didn't have an organization, so to speak. We came up to have a write-in. Too much emphasis, and I have to agree with Brian, that we didn't have good organization to where we didn't have a lot of correspondence, a lot of internal. Will St. Clair being a busy person, would come to our meeting, and I have no fault with that. Really took a good hand on what was going on. But I feel that today, yes, I think Will should continue. We have a lot to learn on this committee. And it's not just Will St. Clair chairman. It has to be at least 5 of us. Other people should be able to attend some of these meetings, not just the chairman. My feeling. I'm hoping that we do learn from Will as we go forward what it's all about. That's my feeling.
I'll echo what she just said and add a couple of things. Nothing to do with Will, more to do with the way the organization was being run by the town at the time. Our most recent director tended, that's where the word exclusivity comes from in my vernacular. You know, we were basically mushroomed at that point. And I felt even Will, to some degree, was mushroomed. And I don't want to see us in the dark ever again like that, because I took a lot of offense to being told that I needed to be silent at different meetings that I attended. And I was at the point there, it was a breaking point for me, where I almost just, if I'm not going to be able to speak, then why should I come to the meeting? Really. So that's where I feel like I think this board needs to, have a new beginning. And I think this is where we are with a new beginning, even though we've got 4 old members, I mean, basically. So that's all I have to say.
But,
No comment.
No.
no. I'm just gonna throw some commentary in, just because I
Please.
think what you're saying is absolutely appropriate. Any type of good public organization needs to have a lot of transparency done. And this is a tough process the board's gone through in the last year, and I look forward to, having this organization run like, many in town, where there's a lot of inclusion. And, this is an important project for the town. And the more the town is aware of it through these meetings and through your correspondence, and so that everyone's aware. So I think those are really good statements that were done. And to the extent that I'm still going to be involved to help as the new exec director until, we can find somebody to come in full-time, we'll make sure that everything is shared appropriately with everybody. And look forward to that, because again, this is an exciting project for the town.
Excuse me, I have to get some water.
Actually, I do. You said you're the executive director, but under our officers here, it says a secretary shall be the executive director. So is that something different? I just reading this.
So Bob,
Somewhere
under
else?
chapter 121B, there's a whole statute in there under the state law for executive director.
I'm just looking at bylaws. That was the first one that came up to me.
Yep.
And it's the ex officio secretary.
Right.
This is the language out of there. This doesn't mean the secretary of the organization. But the executive director's ex officio does not have voting privileges.
So who appointed you as the executive director? This is for my own,
Yeah. I fill in the role. I mean, it's always been the planning director. There's no planning director. The planning director reports to me.
okay.
So without any other discussion, can I call for a vote to nominate Will Sinclair as chairman? We should probably do this by roll call. Mr. Savory?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I accept.
Yes.
No.
And the vote passes 4-1. Congratulations on being the new chair of the Redevelopment Authority, and the meeting is yours.
Thank you for all your help. Looking for nominations of vice chairman, please.
I move that we appoint Savory, our newest member, in that position.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none. A discussion on Mr. Savory's nomination to vice chair.
I'm for Mr. Savory.
It's Mr. Moore, but okay.
I like Mr.
Mr.
Savory.
Savory, because of Savory Lane, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, he's also,
worse.
he's a retired man, I'm retired, and hopefully he'll be able to follow the chairman pretty closely and apprise us and being different, more inclusive as we were trying to do. So that's my point.
Anybody else?
You want the position?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say yes.
Good
Yeah,
question.
I think that's a great place to learn as being new to this. But I did work with Will on the master plan committee, so we've had a history.
I agree as well. It takes a lot of time, so you've got the time. I think it's a good fit that, you're able to be here when you need to be here, or be at different meetings when you have to be at different meetings.
Yeah, my time is
So
pretty
I
much
think it
open.
Works, totally.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor for Mr. Moore being your vice chairman? Say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Treasurer, taking nominations for treasurer.
Joanna Layton.
Oh, okay.
Do I have a second on that one? Anybody want a second?
I can't
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, up for discussion for Joanna.
I'm gonna say ditto on what I just said about Mr. Moore. Joanna's got the time. She's been a force in that position the time that I've been on this board, so, and during the last, hurrah that we had,
Yeah.
she was on point, so I think she makes sense to be in that position.
I agree with that.
If you need any help with Excel spreadsheets or anything, just let me know.
You'll see some.
I'd like to ask the question Bob did. Do you want it?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Any discussion, Mr. Bob?
I'm good.
No? All right. All in favor for Joanna being treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Secretary's position. We need a secretary. Open for nominations.
Well, Bob, he's a new member. I'm not sure he would like to do that.
We already have a.
A secretary, yeah. Would you, okay, I'll nominate Bob.
I'll second Bob.
I'll take it.
Sounds good
Any other
to me.
discussion on that? I think Bob did a great job when he was on this committee last time. He was very thorough. So I like the idea of Bob taking that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those are the positions filled.
Do we need an assistant treasurer?
Vice
There,
Chair.
there is, if you want me.
I don't know if it's necessary.
I don't think
It's
it's
just
necessary.
listed there.
Is it listed there? I didn't even
Yeah,
read it.
it's listed.
What I would suggest you do is that, should there ever be an issue, that you're authorizing the chair to act as the assistant treasurer. Should
We-
you go on vacation. or
Right,
something.
well, we do have,
We have a fifth member, I mean.
we have several people
we have
that
Valerie.
have been signing checks. We have two of them, right, Will?
Yep.
Including Brian, I think, right?
Yeah, I've got my name out down the street, so.
Oh, then there you go. You're
So
already-
we're
You're
covered.
already there, so.
Yeah, we're covered.
Well, then you should probably just
Title
do that for
Yeah,
Brian.
exactly.
I'll
Okay.
nominate Brian as assistant treasurer.
Assistant treasurer,
I love
okay.
it. Sounds
Do I have a
good. I'll accept
second?
it.
Any other discussion? All in favor for Brian being the assistant treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then you should do the executive director, because I've been filling the role as acting, just so
Yep.
Bob's comfortable. And then when we get a new planning director, then you
And we
can.
can flip it.
You can
We can flip
go from
that.
there. And it says in here that, and this will be without compensation. Well, I just want to make it clear, to be without any additional compensation.
Is there a motion there?
I'm just reading the bylaw first.
All right.
We've never had this, I've never read this before. but-
Because Joanna Layton went and got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's under the statute.
it's under the
I
statute.
thought it was time with brand new meeple on it, too. We're trying to do all this again.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board on the executive director's position? Do you want to have one? Do you want to wait until we have an interim one because we don't have no director?
I think
in the
it's
town?
necessary to have one to keep us right.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Bob?
I disagree with it, because he is the town administrator for the town. I don't think that, we're supposed to be separate and distinct from the town.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think having the town administrator who's actively in that position to be part of decision-makings and being in guidance of anything that we do here, I think it should be a separate and distinct member.
Well, the good thing
Has he-
is that for decision-making, that's up to the board. Basically, I
Right.
serve as your executive director, work for you doing these projects. So all the decisions, you still get to make, Bob.
Right.
It's just that, since you meet monthly, is that someone has to carry out the activities from month to month meeting.
Right. I still disagree with having the town administrator. I think we need to have a step away from the town. So, that's my opinion.
Yep. And I think as the interim, until we fulfill that position with somebody other than, i.e. the town administrator, I think it's a good move for this board to have, especially with the urban renewal plan where it's at. Intricate part between the town and us during that whole process. Valuable asset with anything that's coming in and across the board. To get the information to this board faster, I think that's a good idea. My opinion, I do agree with you that the executive branch of the town should not be the executive branch assistant to us. I agree with that. But if we have a director of planning that comes back to the town, then that's a different story, in my opinion. But I hear you, Bob. But I do think that as we go forward on this board, I think that as close as that we can work with the town and town management and board of selectmen is going to be essential to maximize the benefit of what the wishes were of the urban renewal, so, and the citizens, so that's important. Any other discussion on that? So I looked for somebody to make a motion to authorize us on having an executive director. And then we'll vote to appoint someone.
Yeah, I think we should. I wholeheartedly agree with you on what you just said. But in the interim, until a town planner comes,
I just wanted, at this point, I'd like to get the board to vote to have an executive director where the town doesn't have a planner.
okay.
So if the board decides to do that, and we get that in a vote, then then I'll be looking for a nomination.
Okay.
Did you just make a motion?
I made the motion.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded for the board to have an executive director in the interim. Do we have any discussion?
I think we had it early.
Okay. That being said, all in favor for having the executive director's position, say aye.
Aye.
Those
Excuse me,
opposed?
aye.
Unanimous. Okay, nominations for an executive director. As you all know, Mike Malinowski, the town administrator, has been working as our interim executive director, where we do not have the town planner and town director as for a while now. So he's done a good job so far. He's been keeping us going. The board's had 5 months of hiatus anyway, so I know that he has a lot of information that he's going to share with us. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I disagree with Bob, and I think in the interim, I would vote for the appointment of Mike.
Is that a motion?
A motion. Yes, it is.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and second to appoint Mike Malinowski as our interim executive director. Discussion. Anybody have anything they want to
I'd
add?
say, I see where Bob's coming from as well.
Yep.
But in the, in the aftermath of our last, administrator or whatever, director, I think it's appropriate to have somebody who knows the field and can direct us in the right way. So I think it makes sense that Mike is, in the interim, and I just don't know if it's appropriate to ask where we are with the position as far as filling that person's position.
We've advertised for the position, we've got to make some resumes now. It's the matter of sitting down with the chair of the planning board and going through what we have.
Okay.
And see if there's any qualified candidates in that pool. If there are, we'll interview them. If not, we'll re-advertise.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Mr. Bob?
All right, so since you started it, okay, since the possibility of this person that gets hired will be the executive director, I think part of the redevelopment authority, one member from them, besides the planning board, should be part of that discussion. I know Will's the chairman, but I think it should be, for the planning board, I think we should have one person from the redevelopment authority, separate and distinct from.
We agree, that's exactly,
Absolutely.
thank you,
That's
Bob.
correspondence.
That's exactly what we wanted to
That's what
put
we're
our
talking
finger
about.
on. We were talking about earlier, and we agree.
And you're talking about as the hiring process of a planning director?
Yes.
Yeah,
We were before. So I don't have a problem with that. That would be,
We'll take that under advisement. Normally when I do it, I have a pool of people that I have provide a lot of input into hiring processes for any major department head.
Okay. Can I ask one more question, since we're on the
Yeah.
subject of hiring people? Is it like a hiring committee where you're gonna have, round table for those people who do come in, where they get a
Normally what
barrage
we
of
do-
questions?
Yeah, normally what we do for department head processes, we'll go through a list of the candidates that we have. And then we'll bring in a pool of them, whether it's, 2 or 3 people, and we'll have a round table type discussion. We'll not only have chairmen of different committees involved to make some recommendations, as well as key staff members too. And then they all provide recommendations back to myself, and then at the end of the day, then I make a recommendation and appoint a person subject to the Board of Selectmen's final review.
Okay,
And that's just how the bylaws work on that.
all right.
But no, we do an inclusive process. We did it for the last person, it's just that some people have different ways of doing things.
All right, thanks. Appreciate
okay,
it.
so we have a motion and a second for the next executive director. Anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No one asked me if I wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Your chance, Bob.
Thank you, Mike. All right,
Plead the fifth on that.
moving forward, code of conduct. I believe that in your packets, there is a code of conduct that,
We're out of order.
I know I have it in here somewhere.
Should have been like second or third. Did you not get one?
Which is okay.
You don't have that?
I got it.
That's fine.
Thanks, Bob. I got it. Thank you, thank you. So this is, the code of conduct was adopted by the town's Board of Selectmen. It's basically, I don't know if you guys received this in an email or not.
I think we did.
Basically says on how each board member and the members should act as a professional representing the community and representing this board. The selectmen have adopted these policies, and it goes in detail about blogging and all that other stuff where we've had some issues in the past about. I think it's a good policy that was put down by the selectmen. Since this policy was in place by the Board of Selectmen, their meetings are run much more professional. So I think it's a good thing to have. That's my 3 cents worth. I would go to the members and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it's long overdue. I thank you for, was it you who followed through with it?
Yeah, I think the selectmen, we all worked on putting that together, and the selectmen adopted it, and I think, Will, what you're saying is you would replace the Board of Selectmen and call it the Redevelopment Authority, but use the same language as what you're proposing?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I'm not looking for a vote from you guys today. We're all just seeing it. Maybe you can go through this and bring it back at our next meeting. Might be a good idea to do. You can take a look at it. If you don't like something, we can bring it up for a discussion. For lack of a better expression, Will's way is not the way. So,
Okay, so you wanted to take us under advisement, and it would appear.
yeah, I was just looking for a
the next
discussion today
meeting-
for it.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a good thing to
Well,
talk about.
yeah, it's brand new.
All right, so
Bob?
Bob?
I went through this already, and I have some questions about it, because on 1B, where it says, realize that he or she is one of a team and should abide by and carry out all board's decisions once they are made. I believe, as an elected member, that I have the right not to do something that I feel is morally or ethically against my personal decision. And therefore, that one I'd have a hard time biting the bullet on to do whatever you guys say you're gonna do this, and then I don't agree with it morally or ethically, and I'll turn around and say, no, I'm not. All right, so if I say no or not, what's the punishment? Is there a punishment with this code of conduct? That's something, like I said, you guys can discuss, think about that and bite on that for a little bit.
All right, so that's
Okay.
one of them.
That's
Can you
one.
go down the list?
Sure, I'm gonna hit the next one. 2D, not give instructions or request assistance from town department heads, but rather channel all such activities through the full board and the town administrator. I think I have a right, as any other member, it would be to go to a public request to the people that will have to do it without going through the board or the town administrator.
I don't think that would preclude
So-
that. D doesn't preclude that.
Okay, so, well, it says not give instructions or request assistance, so it's basically telling you.
Instructions
you
or
can't do
assistance. No, it's instructions or assistance.
that. Okay, so, then 3B, not make statements or promises of how he or she will vote on matters that will come before the board until he or she has had an opportunity to hear the pros and cons of the issues during a board meeting. I think that one, really, a lot of the times that we hear the pros and cons as we go through our day of listening to issues. It was a new issue just coming before us here, and it's just, we're making a decision right then and there. But if something's been brewing up for months and years or whatnot, that you're gonna have an opinion, and that's gonna be your opinion. So that's just my thoughts on that one.
Okay.
Number E, it says refrain from communicating the position of the board of selectmen to such entities as reporters, state officials, unless the board has previously agreed to both positions in the language of the statement conveying the statement. If there is something said or done that could affect the, violate a state law or whatnot, and we should have the right to do that. And like I said, it comes back to what is the punishment if you do?
Well-
You do go before that.
My understanding of E is any person on this board should be very careful of what they say. That's what that's telling us, is be careful of what you say to
Right.
reporters and whatnot, because it could be taken out of context. And then that one board member is then speaking for the whole board, which that person should not be doing. So you appoint somebody to be the voice of the board, or the town comes and says, I mean, it works that way in corporate America, it does the same exact thing. I mean, a human resources person will then be, in that world, the voice of the company, so that way you don't give it to some, first string or frontline employee who goes out there and, throws a bomb out
And
there.
I understand that there is a decorum within the board of communicating
Yeah,
information, but if there is something that was done or said or whatnot that could possibly violate state law or whatnot, or then someone should say something. That's what I thought with that.
And Mr. Chairman, I mean,
Yep.
these were written by the Board of Selectmen as policies. Obviously, any document that's ever written, if it prohibits or is in complete disagreement with state law or federal law, the state law or federal law trumps a code of conduct policy approved by the board. So nothing here prohibits you from using your constitutional rights for ethical and for law things. But I think as this question here under E kind of refers back to 1B, is that once a board makes a decision, whether it's 5-0, 4-1, or 3-2, that's a binding decision. And there is the opportunity for a minority report, and that's why you have the discussion. But once the vote's taken, that's the will of the board. And any type of undermining that potentially could happen after that is what this is here to prohibit, is that vote's taken, that's the official policy, that in essence becomes a law because the board has then made that vote. And that's kind of where all this plays into, is once the decision's made, again, you had your right to speak, but then you need to then support the will of the board going forward. Of course, if it's against the law, then the board would have never approved it. But once the decision made, that's a decision.
And I understand that, but like I said, I just think that the board can make a decision, but I can disagree with it.
Right, but once the
And-
vote's taken,
And that's the vote, and my position won't change. You can't turn around and say, all right, well, Bob, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Well, we're not
Okay.
gonna do that
Well, that's-
anyways.
that's
On
what-
this board, that's not gonna be, you're
Okay.
gonna do this because we say so. That's not how this
Well,
board
that's what I'm just wanna put it out there, all right? And that's it. And then G, it says refrain from speaking negatively about fellow members of the Board of Selectmen, whether verbally or written. I mean, I think that goes back to First Amendment rights to speech, that you can say stuff, all right, you may not agree with somebody and how they do something, and you should still have the right to do it and not be silenced for it.
You can do that as a citizen of the United States, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I guess.
But I do have a problem when it's fabricated information that directly impacts somebody else's livelihood.
I don't think it's, I agree with refrain from speaking negatively about a fellow member, no matter what it is, that you're on any team, any board, wherever you work. I mean, you just don't, you don't do that.
You know,
You don't
if I could
trash the
have-
people that you
right.
work with.
My point, Bob, is if these are the things that you want to override and be different about it, maybe you shouldn't be on this committee. Because, we already got 5 members. We never had 5 members. This is a joy. I don't want to have you come on our board, because you have been elected, and be disruptive. That's not your plan.
I'm not planning on being disruptive.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that you understand where I come from, and say that there are certain things that I believe in, and my beliefs and my morals and ethics that put me out in certain issues, and that I don't want to be limited by a code of conduct. All right?
So let me ask you, so when you vote, like tonight, we voted,
Yeah.
you had a negative vote.
Yes.
Are you gonna turn around and talk about whatever the person that you negatively didn't wanna have and lambaste that person? Would you go to the newspaper and open it up and so forth? I mean,
If someone comes and asks me a question of why I didn't vote for a certain person, of course I'm going to tell them why I didn't vote for them.
that's fine, but once the
That's my
vote is
opinion.
taken, once the vote is
Right.
taken, would you go along with what the board voted to do not unanimously, but on that
So I think
side?
that what you just stated there is that the vote to organize here, who gets what positions here, okay? I just used my vote and voted the way I wanted to vote, okay?
It's fine.
And someone comes out here and says, but if a subject matter that comes before this board that I may not like, then I'm gonna say I don't like it.
Okay,
Okay, if someone asks me a question about it, I'll tell them why I don't
Okay.
like it. All
okay,
right? And whether it's Will or Brian or Savory or you or whatnot, and they say, hey, I'm gonna say this is what my thoughts are. Okay,
okay.
right. The other one, kind of limit contact to specific staff, questions of staff. I think that's another one, kind of goes with the other one. about-
Excuse me, is that D?
I'm sorry, that's 4B.
4B?
Yeah. And then limits requests to staff support to, requests go to the town administrator's office.
That's D?
So, yeah, like I said, some of these things we don't really need to have in a, if we are going to approve something, I don't really need all of it. You want to tailor it to it,
Well,
that's
just
fine.
tailor it towards
Yeah.
what you think is, which each member
No.
thinks is good,
Yeah.
good and gonna fulfill the wishes of the board. And
Yeah.
what you wanna see, how professional this board will run, and go from there. Add what you want, and we'll bring that up for a discussion at our next meeting, because I think it's important that we understand that, especially now, this community has done an awful lot in the past that has a great impact on what's gonna happen in the future, and the majority of that is gonna happen right here. It is our duty to ensure that the urban renewal plan moves in the process that was discussed and approved by not only this community, but by the state. So I think it's important that each one of the members take that very highly to be acting in a professional manner.
From what I've heard from when the meeting first started, is that there's a renewed need for transparency
Yeah.
in this group. So going to that, Bob, when you disagree with something, I think that we, as the rest of the board, should ask you why you disagree with it and make your answer part of the public record.
Oh, I do.
Okay, but then that takes care of a lot of the things that are here that you know, as long as it's part of the public record, then there's no reason for you to go outward anywhere else to, to answer a question that may have been answered in this meeting and is available somewhere else. As long as the answer, or I'm not saying you can't say that answer, but as long as the answer matches what you had said to us, then I don't think that that's an issue. But it's not saying why you had an opinion on something in here and then going outside of this meeting, our group, and then expounding on what your reaction was. That, I think, is what this is geared to combat.
Okay.
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 So the other part of this is the bloggers code of conduct, as we'll call it. I don't know if you guys went through this or not, I know.
It wasn't on the agenda, so I didn't look at that one, but.
I think we're just gonna take them all in advisement anyways, and then we'll take it at our next agenda, so.
This will be part of the next agenda.
Yeah. Put that on there.
Okay. So we'll put that on our next meeting. Okay. We are on to the bylaws. And to be honest with you, I don't know why that's on the agenda, because I wasn't involved with that, so.
The bylaws were,
Was this just for information for all the new members?
Yeah, this was an
That's right,
informational thing
yeah.
for all the new members.
in 2006, when Jack Hunter became our administrator,
Yeah.
and we passed, Will, I believe you were part of that.
It was,
I was a charter member myself.
yeah, when we were appointed.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then we went forward and got elected.
So this is a fresh version.
So this is the version that was created in 2006, gone through the DHCD and so forth. When we were in this process between April and whenever, Joanna decided that we needed to get the bylaws. And that's what I got.
Yep.
Well, this is good information for all members. Okay.
And I think under item number 6, we'll set out a future format for your agendas, and then that can always be modified,
Right,
as you move forward.
right.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that? Just for information, we can move on with our
Yeah,
agenda?
Yeah, it's information.
Okay. Next on the agenda is an update from the town administrator on town activities related to the Route 44 URP site, meeting by Joanna Layton. Mr. Malinowski.
Yes, let me first start with,
Mike, before you start, I just wanted to say that I did attend that, and I'm sure you're gonna talk about that.
yeah, later on.
Okay, fine.
So, as part of the update on activities related to the project, I have been working with the developer, throughout the last 6+ months, trying to monitor where they're going, and also been having multiple meetings with state and federal officials. And with that, the first item that I'm going to bring up for you to look at your next meeting is your first eminent domain taking. This is a request from the developer and also from the Tassonaries. Now, the developer has closed on the 2 properties that under agreement, and he now owns the 2 residential houses. As part of the Tassonaries, and I'm going to pass this out, this is
Thanks, Bob.
what happened when they went to close on the property. There was, let's say it was a 50,000 square foot parcel. Of that, they had previously purchased 5,231 square feet. And that was not properly recorded. The previous owner has passed. The previous lawyer has passed. And so in essence, this 231 square feet was owned by the Tassonaries, but the title was a little cloudy because it wasn't properly recorded after the purchase and sale. So in essence, what the developer is asking, and again, this would be for a future meeting, is for the Redevelopment Authority to come in and actually clear the title for this 5,231 square feet, again, about 10% of the property, just so that there's clear title for that. So this is the letter that was written from and signed by the Tassonaries. What I would suggest is at a future meeting, we ask the developer to come in and explain that in more detail to you, and then you can determine how you want to proceed. So again, that's for informational purposes at this point. I've also, the developer is currently working on preparing their MEPA report. That will be an environmental impact report filed with the state. They've hired VHB as their main consultant, and they've hired multiple sub-consultants. This planning process to put together the MEPA report will cost them, well in excess of $100,000, if not more, to have all the engineers put these documents together. In those meetings I've had with them, as well as with the economic development folks and the MEPA folks, they have been working through the scope of services, or the scope of work, if you will, that came out of the MEPA filing. And they hope to actually file that MEPA report by the end of this calendar year. So really, until the MEPA is done, there's really not a lot of activity that can happen on the site. So even though you haven't had meetings in months, it's really up to the developer now that the town has approved the project. There's not really a lot of activity for the Redevelopment Authority to do until they get their MEPA permits done, which would then allow them to start development. As part of their MEPA study, they've hired engineers to review the water and wastewater and determine what the quantities are that they're going to need for the site, as well as going out and delineating wetlands and finalizing some transportation improvement plans that they want to do to provide better egress to the site in a safe and manner. So again, this is what the developer has to do on their nickel to prepare the MEPA report, which will then go to the state. Moving to federal meetings, one of the things that we will be looking at clearly from the town standpoint is obviously to assist the Redevelopment Authority in you moving this forward with the developer. In doing so, we may need to apply for some state and federal grants. One of these federal grants that's normally available for this project is from the Department of Commerce on the federal level. Under the Department of Commerce, you have the Economic Development Administration, EDA. And as part of the EDA, we're part of, our region, it works through SERPED, our Southeastern Regional Economic Development District, who puts together a SEDS report, which is a comprehensive economic development report to kind of prioritize where development happens in town. And since this project is a priority of the town, I asked SERPED to, next time the EDA rep was in town, for me to be able to meet with her and give her a tour of the site. Which I did do. I did have, at the last minute, did ask Will and Joanna to come tour the site as well. This was just for the EDA rep to come down and get familiar with the site and determine whether or not this is something that's eligible. She did believe that it is eligible, and as a result of that, I've then asked SERPED to go forward and talk about, under what circumstances this site could be eligible for doing public infrastructure work. That infrastructure work is probably mainly focused on the roadway improvements, but it could include some of the utilities. It appears the site is eligible. I then asked SERPED to put together a scope of work to go forward and what it would cost to put together the grant application. These are very lengthy grant applications. But SERPED, being our regional planning agency, does these on a regular basis for communities. And so I then went forward and asked them on behalf of the town, because the EDA grant would most likely come to the town, for them to go ahead and start to put together that grant application. So I do have copies of the agreement that I had from SERPED on this. And I also have a scope of work that I asked them to do, just so you have this for your own edification. So that's the agreement, and then this is the scope of services that they will be doing on behalf of the town. And I did talk to the developer, and the developer said that he would pay for these services, which were not to exceed $6,500. So that is, I think, my update as of right now. And Joanne, I know you were at.
Well, I just put together some of the verbiage that went on at the site. I just wanted to make sure that's really what you were speaking about, and yes, it is. I just wanted to make sure that my committee knew that we were representing at that site. So.
And it wasn't a public meeting, it
No,
was
it
a
was
staff
not.
meeting, and then I just
Absolutely.
invited a couple
Yep.
people to attend.
So the only thing I wanted to clarify on your minutes or notes that you took, that you submitted for the board, and I appreciate you doing that. At that time, I was a former IDA member. I was not appointed by the Board of Selectmen on July 18th. You had it as an IDA member.
You weren't an IDA?
I was not.
Oh, okay.
Just to be clear, because I think
He was
that
a
Were you there for planning, for the town planning department, or?
I was invited
Board
by
of
Mike
Planning?
Malinowski.
I was wondering, just the capacity, was just a citizen, or was it just for
Planning board.
the planning board?
Planning board.
That sounds a lot better.
You know me, Bob, I'm everywhere.
Can we ask questions?
Oh, yeah.
Bob didn't mention this, Mike didn't mention this, but if you see later on in my statement, Deborah was very open, and she stated that the grant could be between 1 and 2 million. I was really impressed on that one, and she strongly suggested that a proposal be drawn up on the Economic Development website and submitted as soon as possible. Mike said he would do that, right, Mike?
Yep, and that's what I'm doing.
This is-
That's what you're doing now, yeah.
Okay, can I speak?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
all right. With the eminent domain taking here, with this, it says it's for $1, that we're taking the property for $1 for eminent domain, and I think don't we have verbiage in the urban renewal plan about eminent domain taking that Is there certain pricing that we have to do before we can accept something, or?
You're-
I remember something along the lines of.
There's supposed to be three
Let
independent.
me jump in there, because
Yeah.
there's two different components to it here. One is, what you're referring to is actually taking a property from one party to the next party.
Right.
Okay? And in that, there is a sequence you have to go through, and you have to get two independent appraisals to take a look at to start the process. What this is the Tassonaries sold the property to the developer.
Right.
And the Tassonaries, before they sold the property, wanted to put on the record that they were supportive of you guys doing the confirmation taking, which in essence clears the title of the property.
Oh, I understand that.
So, before we get into any more detail in here, I want the developer to actually explain this to you in better detail than I can do. But the distinction that I want to make is this is not a real estate transfer per se, even though that will have to happen a little bit, but this is a willingness between two parties just to clear the record as this goes.
I did understand that, I just was thinking along the lines of fair market value, property-wise, for it. Is that dollar fair market price for that property? Or, like I said, I think there was verbiage in there under the urban renewal plan, like I said, I don't know, we'll have to discuss it further with it,
If I
but that's my
understand it,
thought
I'm
process.
gonna cut you off, but if I understand it, the way I understand it is, there has to be some money exchanged no matter what, so no matter what.
Yeah,
So in
It's a
essence,
dollar,
the
so-
developer
I think it's-
paid fair market value for that 5,000 square feet from
Right.
them, but he bought it knowing that it was never properly recorded, so there's a cloud. So in essence, will be asking you to help clear that cloud title on that, but there was fair market value.
that's, I just want somewhere that we have that fair market value to the people that
Oh, I see
sold
what
the
you're
property.
saying, yeah.
That
Okay,
they did
okay,
get
yeah.
for that property.
Yep.
And then I
Yeah.
would feel a whole lot better.
Yep. And here's the beauty of our agreement, which I'm sure you've read between the developer and the redevelopment authority, is that, let's assume the fair market value is $2, okay? And he has you do the taking from himself, which is in essence what this would be. He will pay you the $2 and cover the $2 for you. So if it's 2, 4, or 400, or 1,
Yep.
it's really his own money that he's putting out, but just going through the process.
And I understand that.
Those were some of the questions that I had, and I wrote down, who assumes the cost for the taken? What's the value? I had down here, and a map of the actual taking. I think is important that we have at the meeting.
And I believe when I put that document together for the redevelopment authority, and I haven't looked at the document recently, but I believe what it says is that should there be any takings, or need to be any takings, the developer is supposed to put up 1.5 times the fair market value of the property, which is the appraisal. In addition to that, as further collateral, is the developer has to mortgage all of his property on site in the name of the redevelopment authority. Should hypothetically, the court ruled that it's worth 1.75 and he only put 1.5, the redevelopment authority is covered because of the additional collateral you have. So the town / redevelopment authority in that situation is protected with bootstraps on what needs to be done.
Anything else on the URP? Did you have any questions, or anybody have any questions on the meeting that was held out there with the lady from EDS, the Mass Rock?
I think Joanne's notation covered it for me.
Okay. All right, very good.
Maybe one other, I may have one question. So in the future, will this be happening again, where you'll be calling, it's not so much a meeting as it is an invite?
So, I don't think so at this point. I'm not really, anticipating anybody come down. Like one time I had the Secretary of Economic Development come down, and I just gave him a tour of the site. Just him and I. This one, because I had Serpent coming down, I just thought, hey, if anybody's around, I just wanted to get some more people involved in the history of the process
Right.
that was down here. But do I think it's a regular thing? No. Do I think it'll happen occasionally? Probably not.
Okay.
Could it? I'm not gonna say it's not, but could it? Yeah. When it does happen, then I'll make sure that word gets out to the entire board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to bills payable.
Okay.
We have a bill here for Valerie. Valerie does all our end-of-year book financial statements. This is back 5/3/17. I know the
Right.
board hasn't met since the election. We now have a full board. What is the wishes of the board? The total sum is $300 to pay Valerie.
To pay the bill, we
Yep.
need to move some money. Okay?
You want to do
So you wanna do that first?
Yeah,
treasurer's report?
yeah, can we do the
first?
treasurer's report?
Robert, Robert, treasurer report.
Do I have a motion to go out, take items out of order?
Okay,
Motion
thank
to
you.
take it out of order to do the treasurer's report. and
Okay,
bills
great.
payable.
Do I have a second?
Okay, great.
Motion made and second, take item number 5 and number 6 out of order to do treasurer's report first.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye, all right, treasurer's report, Joanna.
Yes, the treasurer's report is being reported from January through August. I do want to tell you that in August, I got from the Urban Renewal Plan, which is a savings plan. I have to go to Rockland because I don't know what happened to it. But the figures I'm reporting, $3,613.64 is accurate. But I'm going to go get a report probably tomorrow. I do want to highlight, if you come up to April, you're going to see the very first line says transfer to checking Hayes Development, $2,925, which was transferred, as you see on the third line, deposit from savings and urban. And if you look at the check numbers on the left-hand side, it's 1220, 1221, and 1222 is a void. That lady from Hayes Department, during this process of time, stated she never got the check to pay. Right.
12/22 at 6:15.
Right, exactly. So what happened is, we had to come in, Will was instrumental in taking away, going to the bank, because they were gonna charge us for, what was it, Bill, $25?
Yeah, it was $25 they were gonna charge
To
us.
stop payment,
Okay.
because we weren't sure what was going on. And in the process of time, in July, I was called in, and we created another check, 1223, in that amount, and sent it out and paid her. She then, on 7/26 actually, she cashed the check. So we're square for what on April that we had taken that money out. So truly, the urban renewal plan on the right-hand side has $3,613.64. Now, to pay Valerie, that would have to come out as under savings account. So the committee needs to move, there's $279.19. What is the pleasure of the committee? We have to pay $300. And,
Go ahead, Bob.
I'm trying to think of months ahead, because out of that checking, we also pay for our record keeping.
this
for
was
it.
75,
Yep.
yes.
So, I mean, I would probably go somewhere around $2,000. Transfer 2,000, that would cover us for a longer period of
Well, we
time.
never really did that. We always were a little scrunchy.
We may be,
Do you think we're gonna have more bills?
we may have more bills coming up down the pipe with things.
I think it's a bad idea, I think, for the future a little bit, you know, just put a little bit.
Well, I like it because it saves me for having to go back and forth, because it
Right,
opens
that's
the
what
checking
I'm-
account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's more
Want to
flexibility.
do that
Okay.
in a motion?
You
I'll
wanna
make a
do the
motion that
motion?
we transfer $2,000 from our savings account and move it into a checking account.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to transfer $2,000 from the savings account to the checking account. Any other discussion?
Sounds good to me.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I make a motion, you want to say something?
Just real briefly.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Mr. Chairman, if you don't need me, I'm gonna go up to the school committee meeting, unless anybody needs me for anything else.
No, I think
I
we're
think we're
good.
good.
We're good, we thank you.
all.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
taking
Thank
the time.
you,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say, I'd make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as written here.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made, discussion. Motion made and seconded to accept the treasurer's report. All in favor, say aye.
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 Very good. Okay, back to item for bills payable.
Do you want me to finish? You're gonna come back to let me finish the
Oh, I'm sorry,
the
go
audit?
right ahead.
The audit.
No,
Okay,
And the
go
letter.
ahead.
go right ahead.
Okay. So here's-
Sorry, Miss Joanne,
No, that's okay. We'll just,
I was jumping again.
no, that's fine. Let me get her invoice. Okay. Valerie Donovan, as you well know, as Will says, does the auditing report for us to the Carver Rockland Trust. Page 1 talks about the assets, the liabilities, the net worth, and it's a comparison, and she has to tell the bank 2015 and 2016. So she talks about the assets, liabilities, and net worth. Down the bottom, you'll see the liabilities and net worth being today, $262,965. You can go through it, ask me any questions. I'll give you no answers because I'm not up on, on audits. The second page just talks about the revenue that we've brought in, 2016 as well as 2015. Talks about our operating expenses. She does mention the North Carver urban renewal. On down the bottom it says other income expenses. But you should pay attention to the third page, which is general information. Because she clearly talks about the assets, how they came about, what the disbursements were. Underneath that, she's talking about the liabilities again, how they came about, the $40,000 which came from the North Carver urban renewal, et cetera, et cetera. Additionally, they put another $10,000 in the reserve funds. And then she says, for the years ended in December 31st, 2016 and 15, the outstanding balance of the account, and she gives the number. And this is an important statement, upon completion of the plan, the remaining funds will be returned to Route 44 Development LLC. It's not ours to keep, it goes back to them. In August 2015, she talks about the reserve fund for the Carver master plan. And then she talks about the fact that we incurred expenses, and for the years ended in December 31st, 2016 and 2015, the outstanding fund balance, and too bad he's gone because the town owes us money. The outstanding balance was $4,000 and $3,000 respectively, balance of $4,000 due from town of Carver in fiscal year 2018. Mike's not here, but they owe us $4,000. It just
$4,700.
$4,700?
That's what she is.
Well,
It is $4,700 that's still owed to the RDA.
Yes, okay. And
Just-
it didn't get into the budget.
Of course, I know. So just to keep you guys, new members up to speed, and I know I've mentioned it to previous members, that $4,700 was the second payment that was due to payback on the initial design plans that we put forward for the school. The RDA did. Town made a payment back of $5,000 back quite a few years ago, 2009 I think it was, if I read it right, yes.
Yes.
And then it has not been reimbursed. The balance hasn't been reimbursed to the to the RDA. Probably for lack of a better expression, one year we couldn't do it. The town just couldn't do it. The following year, we forgot. Now, I'll take the hit on that one, but we forgot. And then last year, it was, don't even put it on it. So it is, and he knows about it. Mike Melanowski knows that it's something that's coming up for this upcoming fiscal year that should be coming back to this board. Those monies are used for numerous things, as you've seen. So, go ahead, Bob.
just a suggestion with that.
Yep.
Is that we do have property for sale, that we do a separate agreement with the town. that $5,000 comes out of that sale of the property if it's sold and when it's sold?
I don't know if we can do that. The only reason why is because it was a previous agreement that it would be reimbursed through when they did the financing for the school. That's why now you're gonna alter that to come back a different way.
Don't they have a certain amount of time too, they're supposed to get it back to us, if I remember correctly?
Well,
Or is that just kind of one of those, yeah.
Hold your breath on
you
it.
know, it's a quasi,
It's a balance.
we have a quasi, you know, we're a separate entity from the community, from the
Yeah.
town, but with the town.
Yeah,
So it's one of those things that, in a nutshell, we forgot, we were asked to hold off, which we did. It's not like the RDA needed the money or anything like that. I
Yeah.
mean, we are partners in this community. The RDA, I mean, the community's been very good to us with, you know, giving us properties. Bob is right, we do have
Yeah.
a piece of property that is still for sale. I'm gonna bring that up as a correspondence members thing, because I have some information that was texted to me today on that. But I don't think we can change it. But it's a good idea, let's see if we can. But
Just put it out there to the
Yeah.
town and say, you know what, if we have to go to town meeting and say, hey, listen,
yeah,
all right, or, because we're basically with the selectmen. So it's gonna be an agreement through the selectmen to us
to alter it.
to alter
To
it.
change
So
it.
if it's a mutual agreement that we do that, we just have a separate agreement that when it's sold, that 5,000 comes out of
Those
whatever the
pros-
town.
Those proceeds.
Right,
Yep.
not including, that's not gonna be included in what our stipend gets from the sale of property.
We'd have to go to town though, right? They'd
No,
have to-
I don't think so. I
No,
think
they don't
'cause
think
we-
so?
The
Yeah.
MOU has always been with the
Selectmen and
Board of
the
Selectmen.
RDA,
Right.
okay.
So I think maybe changing the MOU would be a good way of going about this,
Yeah, it's a good idea
clean
anyways.
things up.
It'll speed it up if it's
Yeah.
possible. So that's the audit. You need to take a vote to accept it as well. We had to give it to the,
It's been given to the.
it's been
Rockland
given
Trust.
to the Rockland
Make
Trust.
a motion, we accept the audit as written.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second to accept the audit as written. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I just have two more things, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman, really quick. They've changed people within the branch. They want us to know that the person that we used to deal with has retired, and now we have a new person, Janine. And I also informed Valerie of this, she's very well known. The other thing is we were kind of slow, that's a better word to use. And we used to be available, we used to make our audit reports, if you remember, audits in April. And we had these issues, as you well, we've discussed enough already, that I called them up and I told them to push it out, and how far could they push it out, and they did. They pushed it out to December, so
Yep.
this past December, or prior to that, Valerie did this audit, and she had sent it to them. They approved it and so forth. And I did talk to them and said that when we do get back on board, I was very positive with this, we'd like to go back to April, having our audit completed and sent in to the bank.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does, so we're gonna go back to April. The very last thing is, the interest rates have gone up, but just want to apprise the committee, if you want to borrow the money from that money market, it's gonna cost, it was 4%, now it's 4.25%. Effective June 15th it was.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay. All set with the treasurer's report, Joanna?
I am, thank you.
Okay, going back to bills payables. So we have a bill for Valerie for her services rendered on doing the financials for us in the sum of $300. What is the pleasure of the board?
Can we put both of these together and just do them as lumps on?
Miss Hannons has done, we have a standard that she just gets picked. Just
I motion to approve that. $300.
motion made and second to approve Valerie's invoice for $300. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then we have, just for the new members, we have an invoice for,
Mr. Chairman, there's just one thing I forgot, because the secretary, she's not the one we used to have. Do you have a copy of our treasurer's report?
I do not, I was gonna ask you.
Okay, yeah. Let me, so you can record that? Okay.
So one in Mike's package that he left behind, did he leave that, is that him?
I don't think he left the whole package. He did,
okay.
well, maybe he did.
Probably the treasurer's report in there. You gotta dig a little
No, he
deeper.
didn't.
that file
Okay,
right
here you
there.
go. You can have this. That's extra, I had printed it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all you need?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
sorry, I
gives me
just needed to get that in.
I'm sure there's another copy in there.
Yeah, because the audit is here too.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have all that.
okay, so just for the newest board members, this board had voted a while ago to pay the recording secretary $75 per meeting. That's for Susan. That's why we don't take a vote on it.
No, that's
It's
fine.
a standard vote.
Yes.
Just to bring you guys up to speed. There's gonna be things that I'm gonna say, oh yeah, by the way, this is why we do it. So those are the two bills that we had.
Do you think the room is open for the checkbook? I don't see it here.
No, I can't get into that one.
No, I'm coming tomorrow. I'm coming in tomorrow.
I've been waiting since April. One more day isn't gonna hurt.
Okay. Well, what would the process be? Normally, we write it out tonight, hand it to you.
Yep.
But it's usually for the previous meeting, and we haven't had a
Right.
meeting since April.
Okay, so I don't have
So
to worry
the-
about it?
No,
No.
you gotta write a check. You're gonna sign it, I'll sign it, and
That's
I'll
it.
see her tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow for the planning board, so.
Okay. So I'll just do it all when I come in tomorrow, and you come in and sign for that,
Yep,
okay?
you gotta do that one and the
And
$300
Valerie
one.
as well.
Yep.
And Jill said she'd be responsible
Yeah,
until we get a new member. Thank you.
okay.
So did you say you're not taking a motion for me, just for Valerie?
It's a standard.
We have a
you're-
standing one for you.
You're a standard role.
Okay.
Okay, now let's get into the minutes if everybody's ready. Meeting minutes of April 10th, 2017. What is the pleasure of the board? I think the only ones that were there was Brian, myself, and Joanna.
Right. I remember this meeting.
Yep.
Okay, I remember that. And we talked about, let's put it on for 2:10. We did do that. The 5,000? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
the second page of this,
So on top of the school building study, I think that's what
Yeah.
you were just talking about.
Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Bills payable. Yep. Yeah.
wow. I'm assuming, I don't know if that would have done. Jack? April 10th, was he still here?
I don't know what you're
This second page here, right
Hold on.
here. So it says a
Same.
motion to work with Jack Hunter and ask Mr. Hunter to send a formal letter.
Yeah, because Mr. Hunter came back
Yeah,
on board back
He came
then.
back?
Yeah, because.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was gone.
She left
She
in.
bailed on us. Yeah.
Okay,
That was in like, yeah, it was a month before.
This
That's
month
right.
right before
Yeah.
the
A
election.
week before, actually, it was a week before the
week
election.
before, yeah,
That's when the resignation.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, surprise.
Slam bang, thank you,
What's the
man.
pleasure of the board on April 10th?
I would,
Seems accurate. I'll vote to accept it, I don't know about Brian.
sure.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the meeting minutes of April 10th, 2017 as written. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Two
I abstain.
abstentions.
Abstain, right.
Two abstentions, thank you. Executive session minutes, March 23rd, 2015. Joint Board of Selectmen RDA minutes. Oh, that's a different one.
I have two sets. Do you have
Yep.
one of these?
So you
The
want
executive
to
session minutes?
do-
Yeah.
I
wait-
did not get
No, until it's approved, I'm not gonna give it to you, but.
Yeah.
March 23rd, 2015, executive session minutes will be myself, Joanna, Charlie, and remote by Brian.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I do have them, Joanne.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, I took this one from Brooklyn.
Huh?
I was in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Yeah. Did we have you,
I was remote.
Was on remote.
on remote, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That was the one and only we had.
It worked.
Yeah, it did, yes.
Alright.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Can you make a comment?
Discussion, yeah. Would
Um,
probably be the right way.
Hmm?
Probably in discussion,
Okay, that's fine.
but don't let me
Yeah, no, go ahead.
just roll right on.
Sorry.
Okay. McLaughlin. To show people progress is being made, okay. Well, it's a long time ago. I guess everything's okay as far as the
you-
presentation of
Do you
it.
want to make a motion?
I'll move unless, Brian was the other person
We can
too.
get into discussion now.
I move that we accept the minutes as of March 23rd, 2015.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right,
So-
discussion.
All
Mr.
right,
Bond.
I wasn't at this meeting.
Yep.
All right, under McLaughlin, all right, helped us zero, I think it's supposed to be zeroed with a D at the end.
Which paragraph? He's talking, the first time he
The first
speaks?
time he speaks, yeah. After, on the second
Oh,
line,
yeah,
yeah, helped us zeroed.
Who is it that you're referring to? I'm sorry.
McLaughlin,
Okay.
Right here.
Second.
Zero. Is- it should be
zero, I think it's
zeroed.
Up to
zero, but,
zero
um,
in on zero.
Everything,
Help us zero in, oh, is it?
Oh, just
Oh, the
zero.
word is zero
It's a
in.
miss, yeah, it's a
yeah,
miss.
well, that's what I'm just.
Is that a hyphenated
Yeah.
word?
I know.
Is that hyphenated?
No, that's a dyslexic mistake, is what that is.
Zero in, I think it might be hyphenated.
Yeah,
Might be hyphenated.
No, I don't think it is.
You don't
I don't know.
hyphenate? No?
Whatever makes it look good. All right, my only question in this, is there anything in here for executive session meeting that hasn't already been put out, that should not be put out?
No,
That's all I wanted to know.
because everything that's in this document, now the URP is been approved by the state. We're just waiting for the
I'm just
MEPA
put-
process.
I'm just putting.
No, I'm glad you're
understand
asking.
that. I just want you guys to be aware
Yeah.
that, since it's executive session meeting minutes and I wasn't there,
Yep,
I want you guys to be confident that, okay, everything in here is things that
Has been
you've
done.
already done, and there's nothing in there that could
yep.
Yeah, no, it doesn't
Open up
appear.
for-
no.
whatever, yeah.
anything else.
No, I think it's a good question to
Okay.
ask. I think it's fine though,
All right.
because you wouldn't release any executive session minutes unless it was,
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like I said, I
Yeah.
wasn't there, I don't know, I mean, I know how it's been going, but
yep. No, it's a good question to ask, to be thorough. Any other questions on the executive session minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of the executive session minutes, say aye.
I
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? Abstentions? Two
Abstain.
abstentions?
do abstain.
Okay. Okay, very good. So that one.
Okay, we have one for
And we have
June 27th.
Joint Board of Selectmen RDA minutes of June 27th.
it's just us three.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. This was,
Ours is just the first pair.
Yeah, and everything else is,
Everything is.
I can,
The top part is ours, the
Yeah,
bottom
that's
after
it,
it's
yeah.
cut with,
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
second,
There it is.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes of June 27, 2017. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, abstaining.
No, I was there.
He was there, Savory was
Remember
there.
though?
So full.
Oh, no, no.
Not as a member now.
So,
So he abstains, he abstains.
Okay, good.
Okay, wow.
Correspondence. Okay, the only thing that I have for you for correspondence I received today. Brenda Titus has the property on 94 Forest Street listed for us.
That was supposed to be 210, was it?
It's 210.
Okay,
Okay, that was at the start of it. Then she is suggesting that we lower it to pique some interest because there's been zero activity.
okay.
Let me see. Let's see. I'll read it all to you. I will still have this market at 210. I think we should get it down since there's very little activity. And I said, hi Brenda, we have an RDA meeting tonight. I will bring it up. And I asked her, what do you suggest on costs? She knows what the market is. She replied, how about 180K? My response was, hi Brenda, that seems to be a large drop. I will bring it to the board tonight. That's what I'm doing. Then she responded to me, we had left off at 200K last December before we took it off the market. We did put it back on at 210,000. The assessed value was 183,000 for 2017. See if we can agree to go under 200K, as pricing more aggressively should help with getting interest level up. Thanks. And that's the bottom line. That's the last thing. So our realtor's looking for direction from us on the property.
How big is the parcel?
It's a little under an acre.
Yeah, a little bit.
We also should tell the new people that we went through an expensive over $2,000 to get it, what do you call that?
We cleaned it up so that way we could
Ready.
Yeah.
ready to sell. We needed it.
So there was some issue with title and we cleaned that up.
Yeah, we had a survey done because, did we have a survey? Yeah, we had a survey go out there. Something happened with the
Town
it was
assessors.
It was an assessor's, let's just say it was a
Snafu.
snafu.
Yeah, right,
Good way to put it.
snafu.
Yeah, so we fixed the snafu and then put it back on the market, is what happened.
Right.
So,
So it's shovel ready, that's the word I was looking for.
Shovel,
So it
okay.
is shovel ready. And we have the plans, and the guy even
So-
came up and gave us plans.
So at the time, back when the board had met on that property, there was a potential person that had interest in it, had made an offer to this board. He is my landlord where I rent space from. So at that time, I had backed away from the, and you guys took care of it.
Yeah.
and it was in the
That's-
process and then
Yeah,
the
that-
snafu came.
Then the
Yeah,
snafu of the
then
property
the whole
was the
thing
problem.
went right down the drain.
What was the offer at the time?
174 or something like that.
What was it?
I thought it was around
174?
174, yeah.
It was in the meeting minutes. I thought it was 170, but
Yeah.
right around
Yeah,
there.
it was in the neighborhood of, 170, 174.
So she's looking for direction from the board of where you guys want to go. Right now it's at 210. We're getting no action on it. She's suggesting we should be under $200,000 to try to spurt some activity. Depends on what you guys want to do. Okay, Bob?
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
All
Do the
right.
best we can.
All right. The MOU with us in the town.
Yep.
Is there any price of the lowest price that we will accept within that MOU?
No.
There is none. Okay. I'll let that one go. Okay. The parcel beside it, the 6 acres of land that's going, that one's going for $750,000. I think that's what I saw the last time.
6 acres, 750,000?
If I remember correctly, that's what I saw.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. That's with
uh,
the glass company, that corner.
Yeah, but the glass
That-
company's separate.
Separate.
It's owned by Jack.
It's behind
Yeah.
that, right?
It's around it.
Surrounded, yeah.
And then ours is right beside it. so-
Yeah, exactly.
And there's been no action on that one either.
No.
But there are other activities going on at the place next door. That new gas station, not gas station, the guy.
Medical facility.
The
There's a
medical
medical
facility.
facility, that one's popping up now.
Yeah.
That could have some other business opportunities to tie off to that, where someone may want to look at that. I understand the realtor's point of lowering the prices to get more activity, but that's what happened on a lot of real estate now. A lot of people are dropping their prices. My neighbors for sale, they just dropped their price. I know a couple other places that people that have dropped their prices too. I think it's kind of premature right now. I mean, how quick do we really want to sell the property? We really have to look at. Do we want to unload it? As
Not
quick as you-
costing us anything.
It's not, it's sitting there, it's not costing us anything.
Right.
All right, and we're not under a rush to get the thing sold, as far as I know. I mean, I'd want to sit on it. I'd like to, and even take it off the market possibly to say, hey, let's let it cool down for the winter or whatnot, and see what happens with that. Everything else going, but you got Corvette Mike's over there, who just opened up his new shop, the other guy who opened the shop up. I mean, someone else may want to move in that area too.
And the fact it is shovel ready.
It does have some perks to it. The other
I mean, that's
issue,
why we did it.
and the other issue, and I don't know, I'm
No water.
pro assisted, what do you call it? I'd like to see some low to moderate income properties for people. I don't know if the interest.
There's not enough there for that.
For an acre of land.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not enough.
I know there's a couple other smaller places that they have put in an acre
The
of
house
land.
behind,
For it.
believe it or not, if you go to that road,
Yeah.
there's a house behind
right
it.
there. Yeah.
That's
I know.
housing, that's housing,
Yeah.
So that's off of Fuller Street.
yeah, that's
all.
just, that's
Right.
housing it. Well, maybe you're right.
So, I mean.
So we're into September and it's, she usually runs like, 6 months at a whack. So if you went,
Now until the spring, you mean?
no, taking Bob's thought of just pulling it off the market for now.
Yeah.
But wait until spring.
Wait till
come in
spring.
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 Yeah.
See what comes up in the between. I wouldn't go any lower than 190, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Do you think that 210 is a good price?
I think it's a good place to start. so
First of all, I think-
I'm wondering why don't, I understand you're saying take it off the market, hopefully the market comes back, but is there any harm in leaving it on the market at the 210? To see if there is a
Well,
bite?
it's not costing us anything.
I think personally, the more people see a house or a property on the market for the longer period of time.
It
they turn
dilutes
around
it, it
and
dilutes it.
They turn around and say, well, gee, all
Yeah,
right.
it dilutes it.
They're gonna turn around and say, hey, we're gonna give them a lowball offer or whatnot, and my feeling,
It's always better in real estate to pull it.
pull it.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. The other thing that I have that kind of goes along with this is the negotiations part of this, of sales. I think if we put it out there for 210,000, somebody comes with an offer, that offer be done in executive session.
It is.
Oh, it will be. Oh,
And
yeah.
that the discussions, in executive session are discussions, and then it comes out for a vote after that. That way there's no understanding that we don't lose that, because if perhaps a bidding war comes out or whatnot out of this, that we lose our ability to get the most money for the property.
Right, no, that,
That's always been done in
yeah.
executive sessions.
Sure. So, otherwise, that's my opinion. My opinion is just to take it off the market. I mean, it's not on the agenda to, just a
This is
discussion
just an
thing now.
information correspondence I'm
Yeah.
just throwing out with you. It'll be on our next agenda, so,
Okay.
just so that way you guys are informed
Okay.
on what's happening with it. Okay, members' comments, anybody got anything?
All I'll say is, we never had a chance to welcome any of the new members, so
Yeah,
welcome all new members and
Working.
members of the past.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
working, yeah,
To the authority. It's good to see 5 people on the board.
yeah, that's amazing.
First rep, welcome.
2006, it's amazing. We started in 2006, and here's the year, 17, 11 years, and we finally got a 5th member.
Okay, let's do the next meeting.
1 second first.
Yeah.
I had offered this suggestion out to the selectmen, and I'm gonna offer it out to the board also. Here is that if there's an issue with the board, or members or whatnot, that it's directed to the chairman, to try to resolve the issue. All right, and I will do that.
Let's not have any issues and we're good.
Listen, things may come up and no matter what, that's how it'll be handled before it goes anywhere else. Okay?
Oh, you're telling us your view.
No, this is what I suggested to
Yeah, yeah,
the Board of
yeah.
Selectmen.
Oh, I see.
That if there's an issue before we goes anywhere further,
Okay.
that it goes to the chairman for the issue,
Try to make it a resolve.
to resolve it before it goes anywhere else.
Yeah.
Got
Maybe
it.
that's something we can add to the code of conduct for us.
You can write that one, you write that
Yeah.
one up, Bob, you're
Yeah.
good. You're good. You can write that up.
Okay, so we want to get back on a regular scheduled
Please.
monthly meeting like we normally used to have. I don't know what, I can't even remember when it was, first Monday of the month were we doing or
It's
something
supposed to be
like that?
second.
No, the second
Monday.
Monday of the month.
All right, so is that gonna work for everybody? That'd be October 9th.
That's Columbus Day, just so you know.
Yeah, it is.
What, you can't make it?
See, the Mondays,
I can, I don't know, is town
Yeah.
hall open?
I won't,
No.
I'm away
No.
at
That's a
a
good
wedding, so.
it's not gonna be, it
won't
won't
be.
be open.
Oh, it's just hit the wrong
So-
number.
Geez,
All right.
Push it
we are
back.
gonna be in conflict with
This is
some
what
of these
happens.
Mondays. Yeah, I
This is
know
what
it.
happens.
That's right. We gotta wait.
People away. We'll
Should
do-
we move it to a Tuesday?
I don't care.
We can do the
Tuesday?
following.
The next day, the
Yeah,
10th?
yeah.
I can do that.
How about you, Bob?
The 10,
Yeah,
the doctor's appointment,
What time?
says 10:15 in the morning, so.
oh, you'll be clear.
hopefully it should- What time?
We always meet at 6.
6, we had this is a good time. 7's a little late, 5 is too early.
Is this room available on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock? That's one of the reasons why we picked Mondays. 'cause
I
it's
think you're
available on
right,
Monday.
Yeah, but I think there was a lot of other different things going on.
There's always the room beside the selectmen's
Yeah.
meeting room.
Upstairs, yeah.
Upstairs.
Alright.
That one's always
As long
open.
as
There's
there's
no
I
room.
know
yeah.
Tuesdays are the planning board, so that might be, but that's always in room 1.
Is that you?
So-
Yep,
That's you. At what time do they meet?
7.
7.
Oh, we'll be done.
Yeah,
Yep,
so we just roll through. Yeah.
So what time are we meeting?
6,
6.
6 good time for everybody on the
Yeah.
10th.
Yep.
October 10th, Tuesday, 6 PM.
Somebody make that motion.
Good, Bob.
All right, make the motion October 10th at 6 PM.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
At 6 PM.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7:33.